Francisco firefighters responded to a trench collapse at Oak and Divisadero in the Lower Haight, and a utility worker was found dead after being trapped under a large mound of dirt. KTVU's Christian Captain has been following this one all day. He joins us live tonight with the very latest. Christian?
Yeah, Mike, a very tragic story out here. But first, let's give the traffic implications right now. We can tell you that in just the last hour or so, traffic has reopened on Oak and Divisadero in all directions. So for commuters, that's important news. We've also learned that the man who died here was a contractor working on a city sewer project. The first calls to 911 started coming in shortly after 10 a.m. A worker trapped about 8 feet underground in a trench that had collapsed. Fire crews rushed to the scene with heavy rescue and urban search and rescue equipment, including a canine that confirmed that a person was trapped under 8 feet of sand, dirt, and concrete. Responding crews had a difficult technical trench rescue on their hands, having to shore up the trench as they worked to prevent another collapse, which could endanger the rescuers.
As we're effectively performing this rescue, we have debris that has to be carefully removed so it's not falling down. We have soft soil that's continuing to come into the hole that we have to evacuate, which is what we're using the vacuum for. We have to be cognitive of where the victim may be at as we're digging around that individual.
Crews on scene had hoped for a rescue, but once they reached the construction worker, crews were able to confirm that he had died.
It took over 2 hours and over 50 firefighters working together to effectively reach the individual, evaluate the individual for signs of life, and unfortunately, 2 hours into this incident, we are naming this a fatal incident.
Next of kin were devastated after learning the news. At this point, investigators aren't releasing a lot of details about the man who died, but the city's Department of Public Works confirmed that the man was working on a city sewer replacement project. The same project KTVU reported on a month ago. We caught up with crews then working on the project and spotted some of the same crew members at the trench collapse. The city's Department of Public Works says contractors and city workers are devastated.
We want to make sure that the workers perform safely and are safe. We don't know what caused this trench collapse at this point. That's something that we're looking at to find out what happened, do whatever we can to make sure nothing like this happens again.
And while that initial response is now over, the investigation into what happened here is just getting underway. San Francisco Police and Cal OSHA have launched parallel investigations to figure out exactly how this deadly collapse happened. And coming back to our live shot, you can still see that there are crews here from the Department of Public Works and that the trench has now been covered with plywood. So that people should know that if they're going to be going through this area, that trench has now been covered so it doesn't present a risk at this time. And again, for those who travel through this area, Mike, you well know that this is two heavily traveled roads, Oak and Divisadero. Both of those streets have now been reopened. We're live in San Francisco. Christian Captain, KTVU, Fox 2.
Just a tragic incident there in the city today. Christian, thank you for that. In the